I think beauty ends up being one of the most fascinating things to study when we talk about women in gender studies, just because it's something that we treat as trivial in a lot of ways, but it has an inordinate amount of power. Financial power, power over our self perceptions, just an inordinate amount of power. So let's talk a little bit about history because I think it shapes how arbitrary these beauty norms can be. So apparently in the 15th century, please think about this, like that women would pluck their hairlines to make their, like, think about the front of your head and like your hairline and start pulling out all of those hairs. Like, oh my goodness gracious. But then I would ask you today's norms. Where do we remove hair from? And consider it again like the thing that we're quote unquote supposed to do. So, again, how these norms can change throughout time. Apparently, in the 18th century, women would powder their hair to make it look more white. Nowadays, there's certainly people, absolutely, that go gray. I am quickly becoming one of them because I grew up that my mom always would, she's always had a short pixie cut kind of haircut and had salt and pepper hair that is now pretty much completely white. And it's beautiful. But she has been treated many times in society as if she must be, you know, at this point, she's in her early 70s. But for the last 15, 20 years, even more, that she's had gray hair or increasingly white hair. Like, we kind of make big assumptions about the fact that if somebody has that much gray or white hair, they must just be ancient. As a person, I am not, it's just who I am. I'm not a hair and makeup person. I don't really wear makeup. I do fill in my eyebrows. Like, it's not my thing. I tell you that because here's the shelf where I keep like all my face stuff in my bathroom. I got a lot of it, right? Thank you, sales at Sprouts and Mother's Market. I'm not really a hair or makeup person, I say. And yeah, I mean, if you saw me, like you saw a welcome video, it doesn't get any better than that. But this idea of like, I'm low maintenance, I don't know about that. And do I need all of this stuff? Probably not. Do I like it? Do I like acting like I'm like some kind of chemist after I wash my face at night and I pick like some combination of serums and lotions and yeah, I do. I love it and it feels delightful. Like it just does. I go to bed. Well, granted, I'm already the world's palest person, but I go to bed looking like a ghost because I've just got all kinds of stuff piled on my face because I just kind of naturally have dry skin. And so to have skin that doesn't feel like it's going to crack open at every moment, like it's lovely. And like things like face oil, and there's a crystal roller there. Like I'm all in on this stuff. And so I share this with you because I want you to kind of think about maybe you're like, no, I don't like any of that stuff. Totally awesome. Maybe you like it way more than I am and are watching YouTube videos on skincare routines and how to do hair. My daughter, at this point, I think spends the time that she's not at work, maybe 90% of her living hours either blow drying her hair and or watching somebody on YouTube. Like all I hear is the sound of like YouTube videos with blow dryers and music in the background. But she loves like, and she's really good at learning how to do her hair. Um, we villainize ourselves sort of for like, oh, like falling again for this trivial thing. But at the same time, it can bring us joy. Where's the line? Where are we falling for societal norms saying you have to do this in order to fit the construct of beauty? But where is the line that's like, no, this actually makes me feel happier, more confident, more like myself? I think that's a different answer probably for every single person, right? And I think a lot of times it's something we don't necessarily stop and think about. So stop and think about it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the French artist Orlan. Very interesting when we kind of talk about the construct of beauty. Is a performance artist who would set up performance art that was literally plastic surgery that would be done on herself, like as the art piece. And then she would take implants, like a chin implant, and put it in her forehead. And she's pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible in this world, and she's doing that purposely to again get those questions going. Well, wait a second. Why does this implant, why is it considered beautiful in your chin, but it's not considered beautiful in your forehead? Like, again, the definitions of beauty. The definitions of beauty and how they're always changing. The lengths that we will go. It's a lot to think about. So we're not going to spend too much time together on this topic. I really, really encourage you to kind of unpack it for yourself because it's such a personal endeavor so often. But I do want to share this last piece with you. I'll leave it I won't read the entire thing. You can see it. But I'm going to go in on right about the top third of it. When I've surveyed the many hours I've collected in front of the bathroom mirror, blow drying, plucking, moisturizing, brushing, applying, removing, and styling, it makes me weary. Even in keeping a relatively low maintenance beauty routine, the math is staggering. 30 minutes daily for 30 plus years. Let me pull up the calculator. No, this cannot be true. 5,475 hours. And I wonder why I have not yet found the time to take up the piano. The author does a great job of the juxtaposition. But I love to be put together, right? Her grandmother taught her the term, you want to be pretty, you want to look your best. Stop and ask yourself, what messages is society putting out that I am taking to heart and hurting myself? Like hurting who I am and my confidence and my place in this world and disparaging myself and saying, unkind things to myself. Where do I find myself truly within my body, within my face, within my hair, with everything, in moments of joy and happiness? How do I achieve those? What should change in society? It's very interesting. I have asked classes to define beauty. What's the definition of beauty? Then I ask them, what's society's definition of beauty? They're oftentimes very different. And students' definitions of beauty collectively that they come up with is a lot about the feelings and place and purpose in life. And society's definition is the outward appearance. I would argue that outward appearance has always been important, obviously, but I would argue that in the last 10 or so years, that in some ways, whereas we do have conversations about body acceptance, body neutrality, things along those lines, at the same time, there are different aspects of makeup and lips and procedure and just on and on and on that it seems to be almost ramping up more and more and more. Doesn't mean that everybody's buying into it. But even if you don't buy into it, by virtue of the fact that it's out there, just kind of shapes our lived experience, shapes who we are. I think it would be absolutely fascinating. Like, please sign me up. I don't know if anybody wants to join me. I certainly couldn't teach it, but I think it would be fascinating to take a look at. Like, there's one family, there's one group of people that I think have been a huge driver of our definition of beauty and a huge driver of the capitalistic pursuit of like beauty, the Kardashians. I think there would be a lot to unpack there. To have that and to think about the financial and societal power that they have amassed in relation to appearance. What does that say about us collectively? Is there any good that comes of it? I don't know. Does it help us feel better about ourselves? Does it help us enjoy our lives? Does it detract? I don't know. A lot of times I show up to discuss these concepts, and I think like in math and chemistry classes and stuff, there's like, here's the answer. This is the answer. In this class, I just have more questions. Hopefully you do too.